Let's get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here. We got Joe Rogan excited about Kash Patel, and he very much respects Trump's growth. You're going to hear it in a short JRE clip that I have for you guys, and then I'm going to show some examples of that. So we're going to be playing some clips from Trump when he called out someone from Meet the Press in an interview he did, called her out effortlessly, as Trump always does. Then I'm going to take you down a road of who Kash Patel is so you can see why Rogan is so excited about this guy. And I'm telling you, I was already excited just from a little bit that I heard, but everything that I have for you guys right now, oh, this is incredible. This could possibly be I'm telling you, this could be the change that we've all been looking for. Let's get into the clip first, and then we'll go down that road. Let's see.
Time they pass something like the Patriot Act or the Patriot Act 2, they just chip away at that. They're chipping away at that, and it's their job to do that in their mind.
Right.
It shouldn't be, because there's not enough oversight of them. That's the problem. It's like this is the whole concept of the deep state, which was always like such a stupid conspiracy theory for the longest time. People are like, oh, you're worried about the deep state until you're like, oh my God, it's real. Oh my God. How did that kid get on that roof?
Come on.
How did he walk around with a rangefinder, like we were talking about before? Rangefinders? Yeah, that's what he had. That's why you use those, folks, for shooting people.
He's not golfing.
The whole thing was nuts. The whole thing was nuts. And we were all just sitting there going, oh, the deep state's real. Like, oh, someone did something here. How did his apartment get professionally scrubbed? Are there a team of people that are actually organizing something like this? Has this happened before? Why won't they release the Kennedy files? He died how many years ago? 1963?
Yeah.
That's 61 years ago. How about you release that?
Yeah, maybe,
Hey, how about you guys release that?
Yeah, or there's maybe a reason?
Yeah.
Do you think that stuff's going? I mean, do you think
61 years is not a lot of time, though? That's a good point. Like, maybe we should wait another 60.
Makes sense, right?
People aren't ready yet. They're not ready yet.
I've thought about that a lot. I want to know, right? I want to see behind all the scenes. I want to see the Epsteins, the Diddys, the
Kash Patel says first day one.
Let's go.
That's what he says.
Let's see it.
If they get him in there,
what a stud, right?
Oh man, if you are the deep state, you know what he said he wanted to do? He would close Langley and make it a museum of the deep state.
Jeez.
This is the first thing he said he would do. And then just reorganize everything and say, now go back to chasing criminals.
Yeah.
And stop attacking the citizens. Stop spying on people, you weirdos.
I'm so pumped about him and Tulsi. And like, there's just such an awesome group of people that are just
certainly interesting.
I mean,
I'm even excited about the way Trump is doing interviews now. Like he's doing it. It's like he's become like a wiser person in interviews. Like he did this interview with this lady from, I think it was NBC. The recent one that he did was over an hour. But even the way he was talking to her, she was saying things. He's like, you would be so much better if you weren't so biased. So he said to her. It was like a kind way of saying it to her.
Do you think he always had that, and he's just so intelligent, he's playing different cards at different times?
I think he's realizing that part of the problem is not just the resistance that he faced, but his reaction to the resistance. And he still slips sometimes. Like he tweets out, I hate Taylor Swift.
Oh, my gosh.
Which I thought was hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw that. I just love irrational tweeters.
Right. I mean, at what point does like the incoming president going to just dunk on somebody?
Well, he wasn't winning yet. I think he was freaking out, you know.
Oh,
I honestly think he was freaking out.
Think?
Yeah, because they were doing a psyop. And they were all of a sudden making it seem like Kamala Harris was the dream that we'd always been looking for. And they were tricking people who recognized that she was an unpopular vice president just 3 weeks ago. And everybody was all of a sudden on board. And
that was spun around fast.
Jesus, it was wild to watch. But that was another thing. Like, if you can learn from it, look, we got through it. It didn't work. But you should learn that the government will organize to do that to protect their position of power. Because here's what's up. The people that are in power, and we're not even saying they're evil. I'm not saying anything bad about them. But the people in the administration that's there currently, they're all going to lose their jobs. Okay? Or they keep their jobs. So if they can keep their jobs, what's the way we keep our job? The way we keep our job is we present her as the best option possible. Even if they don't think that's true, they have a vested interest. You're talking about thousands of people that are in control of these very organizations that were going after social media, and we're getting them to take down factual information because it was dangerous to their narrative. So they have already shown that they don't have ethics. They have already shown that they don't give a fuck about freedom of speech and the First Amendment. What they want is to keep their job and keep power, and also not get in trouble for some of the they did that was maybe illegal. which we wouldn't even have known about if Elon didn't buy Twitter.
Yeah.
Very, very true, man. Kash Patel. Let's get into it. Now, the first thing I'll say is, in regards to Trump freaking out over Kamala, I don't know that he was freaking out. This is the only reason I say that. He already went through the same thing with Hillary. It was the exact same thing with Hillary. Jay-Z, Beyonce, presenting her. Kamala Harris, who did she have on stage? Beyonce, Kamala Harris was all of a sudden black and doing accents. Hillary was all of a sudden black and doing accents. Black media was lining up to interview Hillary and push her as the person. Black media was lining up to push Kamala. Like, this was the exact same thing that he had to deal with Hillary Clinton. Even right down to the fact that neither of them were black. Oh, boom, boom. Bang. That's like one of those Bill Maher monologue jokes. But it's true. Let's get into the whole Kash Patel thing. Actually, let's start off with Trump. And exactly what Joe Rogan was talking about in terms of Donald Trump setting this woman straight. I may have played this before. If you're an avid watcher, you can skip ahead if you want, but I love this clip. Let's go.
Just remember, unselect committee, a year and a half of sworn testimony, and after getting all of the testimony, they deleted it, and they destroyed almost everything. There's nothing left. It's unprecedented.
And they deny doing that.
If you do that in a civil case, you go to jail.
They deny doing that. And officials say that the order never came in for the National Guard.
A statement.
On January 6th, let me ask you this about January 6th. I think
Benny
you're going to want to
Thompson
answer
wrote
this.
in a statement that he has destroyed all evidence.
Let me ask you this about January 6th.
I wish you could be you have such potential. If you could be just non-biased, you hurt yourself so badly. I'm telling you, they deleted and destroyed all the evidence. Everyone knows it. And you slough it off like it doesn't mean anything.
No, I'm just saying they deny it. That's all I'm saying.
Kristen, if I did it, you would be standing up in that chair shouting at me. And you know what I'd do? I'd say, you got me. They have done something so illegal. They have a committee sworn to, and because it was so bad, the only reason they did it is because the testimony turned out to be in favor of me. Like Secret Service testified and disputed everything. It made them into a bunch of liars. Not Secret Service, it made the people. They got rid of it because it made Nancy Pelosi, the mayor of D.C., so many people.
All right, I'm letting that run a little long there. Again, every single thing that you see me pull up from X is always reposted on my X channel. There's another minute or so if you want to go and listen to that. But the fact that he just very gently was like, you could be so good. You could. And you know what? I think I said it before. She really could. She really could. You know what I would do? This is a little side note. If I took over CNN, you know Caitlin Collins? Okay, I've talked about taking over CNN before. I think they should let me do it. What do they got to lose? They suck. But if they let me do it, you know Caitlin Collins? I'm not firing her. I'm going to say I'm putting it in your contract that you have to be non-biased. And that she's a bulldog. You saw Trump. Trump's like, you're a nasty person. Well, let that same nastiness go to Nancy Pelosi, the Obamas, AOC. Oh, it'd be beautiful. It'd be beautiful. I would keep her around, man. She does get nasty. She puts pressure on people, but right now it's like she's a propagandist because she only does it to the left. And same with that woman named Christie that Trump was talking to. But that was a little sign of Trump's growth. Here's another sign of the growth, because he could really go in on Time magazine. He really could. But instead he decides to be very, very nice. We got RFK standing right behind him. Man, historical, just so historical. Let's get into it.
So thank you very much. President-elect. Tremendous honor. I brought some of our compatriots along with us. They're going to do a beautiful job for you for the next 4 years. And it's really been something very special. And I have to say, Time Magazine getting this honor for the second time. I think I like it better this time, actually, but we did a good job. We had a great first term, despite a lot of turmoil caused unnecessarily. But the media's tamed down a little bit. They're liking us much better now, I think. If they don't, we'll have to just take them on again, and we don't want to do that. But I do want to thank Time Magazine. I've been on the cover many times. I don't know who has the record, but I can only probably talk well about 25% of the covers. 25% are great. The others I just sort of hide. But it's been an honor, and every time it's an honor, I will tell you. And thank you very much for doing it. And thank the whole group at Time. Really very professional people. Thank you very much. And
definitely doesn't have to say that. Have you seen the covers they've made of him? They've made football players tackling things that say 45, where he's like one of those things that bounces up and down. They've made a straight up just an orange with a mouth that's supposed to be him. They've made his face and Putin's face put together. They've done more Orange Man. They've done so many terrible covers of Donald Trump that are not meant to be complimentary whatsoever. And the fact that he's just like, 25% I just pushed away. He could have went in. He really could have at this point in time. Decided not to. Decided to actually talk about them as if they've been very friendly to him the whole time that he's, ran for president the first time all the way up to now. They have not. They really haven't. So it's just very, very interesting to see the growth from him. A lot of people say it's because he got shot. I think it's a combination of things. I think life just kind of puts you through the ringer when you're pursuing your dreams. Not to take the conversation so off topic, but when you're going for the thing that you really want in life, life has a way of being like, okay, you say you want this thing. I'm gonna put you through a bunch of stuff before I give it to you. And a lot of people stop before they get to that thing that they really want. And Donald Trump, he's relentless. So he wasn't stopping. He got the thing. It was a terrible run in regards to the entire deep state turning on him. People saying that they were going to do things after he talks to them. They turn around and go behind his back and do the opposite. It was just terrible. Terrible. Media attacking him, people attacking him, protests, all this stuff. Still goes out, does the best job he can, has an incredible first term, then gets it taken away, has to fight throughout that whole 4 years. The country's being absolutely mauled by this terrible administration. And then all of a sudden wins again in a landslide, still has everybody, deep state, everything against him. Decides, gets shot, 2 attempts, 3 if you're counting the other guy. People are coming after him all over the place, whether it's the media or it's actual Republicans or it's Democrats. People just coming after him. The media is saying Kamala Harris is a cultural phenomenon, which what are you even talking about? And he still perseveres and he still pursues that thing. And now he gets what he's been fighting for. And it looks like it's going to be one of the greatest terms for a president ever. I really do think that. I think this is going to be solidified in history as a magnificent time. There's going to be growing pains, of course, but the things that he's trying to put in place, the people he's trying to put in place, I think this stuff's going to echo through time. So, just a little shout out to anybody going after your dreams. Don't stop, Kash Patel up next. Kash Patel. Now, this is why Rogan is so excited about Kash Patel. This is an interview from the Sean Ryan podcast. You guys know about Sean Ryan. He has his podcast. He was on the JRE, friend of Joe Rogan. Let's play this clip right now. Do I have it on double speed? Of course I do. Let's make that normal. Let's go.
But they want the title narrative to carry the day. Hunter Biden's laptop is Russian disinformation. They don't care about the actual truth. And so once you start stacking these together and you show the American public you were lied to, you based your vote at the polls on information that the government purposely withheld from you so that you would vote a particular way. Once you show enough Americans that, then I think you have the movement that you need behind the leadership that we have in Donald Trump, is my position, to take a wrecking ball to the deep state.
How so?
You go to DC and you remove all these positions, right? And you start enacting measures, not of retribution, but of legal consequence. Y'all acted one way. For instance, the people that signed the 51 Intel letter, right? Permanently suspend their security clearances forever. Every one of those guys lied. Every one of those guys got caught lying. You're talking about 2 former CIA directors, a former NSA director, and a former Secretary of Defense. All intentionally, to this day, continue to lie and won't take back their letter. Okay, you can stop making money from your security clearance. There's a start. Then you go in and you get the Eric Charmels of the world, who've been publicly outed as utilizing intel to inject a political narrative across mainstream America. And you remove these people from government. You have to go in there. And the same thing we're talking about the voting, it's the same thing here. You got to cleanse the scrolls. Government service is a service. We're not making you do it. And if you break the rules and regulations, you're out. So that's a big part of it, right? Then you bring in the new bench, the new team. Then you're going to have to keep fighting the media. And I think we're slowly, over the years, have started to win that fight. Because the more and more, this is one thing I learned when I started Russiagate, my name was outed for the first time, that the media is attacking you, the more you're over the target.
Who is at the head of it?
I don't think there's one person or one group. I think it's people who know they're going to benefit from each other if they sign up for the program, let's call it, right? And so, again, not a Republican or Democrat thing. In the glossary of this book, in alphabetical order, I think there's like 65 people I name by title and name, just to show people how expansive the deep state is. And so there is no like one chain of command they report to. Instead, what I believe they do is they bring in people that they can control. Oh, the Obamas still have heavy sway in that entire operation. And so do people that have been around for 10, 20, 30 years in Washington.
I mean, I think it's already out there for them. I mean, how corrupt it is. I mean, that's why I think that's why podcasts are doing so well right now. And I mean, somebody just came in here in media and said that CNN's viewership is only about 50,000 at any particular point in time during the day. That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
It's atrocious. And I'll give you an example from sort of the other.
So, Kash Patel right there. Both my pens die on me. Both my pens. I love to take notes. Couldn't take notes. But suspending security clearances, getting rid of people who he feels are in the deep state, not getting rid of their positions. It's this transition that Trump has been working on because, you know, it was talked about how he started doing this much earlier than any other president. And this makes perfect sense because exactly what Kash is talking about correlates directly with what Elon and Vivek want to do as well. It's their plans go together perfectly. Elon and Vivek point out where the government waste is. He points out where we'll say the weak spots are, the unneeded people, maybe the detrimental people. Both that comes together. You get rid of those people. Then on top of that, he's talking about calling out both sides, which is something that a lot of people don't talk about with Trump. But Trump does this all the time. He will call out both sides. If he thinks that there are Republicans who aren't doing what they should be doing, he will call them out. He'll call out the left as well. He does it all the time, which is why the entire deep state, the entire Washington hates him. You notice that. It's not one side that hates Trump. It's all of Washington. Now he has his loyalists and people who like what he's doing, but both sides definitely have an issue with Trump. I mean, Liz Cheney is a Republican, quote unquote, rhino, of course. I think Johnson is as well, Speaker of the House. But yeah, very interesting the things that he has planned and the things that not the DOJ, definitely not the DOJ, the Doge committee has in mind. Very, very interesting stuff. So this is one of the many reasons why they don't like, or why Joe Rogan is excited for Kash Patel, but a lot of people are actually very anxious for Kash Patel to take this position as FBI director. Here's a little bit more of why they don't like him. The thing about this is, They attacked him. They did not think he was going to be in this position. A lot like Tulsi. They did not think Tulsi was going to be in the position that she's in. They did not think these people would rise to these positions of power. Trump is just, like I said it 100 times. I don't know if you heard. Trump only has middle fingers in his cabinet. He just said, no thumbs, no pinkies. I just want middle fingers. I want to bring middle fingers to Washington. That's it. That's all he wants. Let's get into this next clip.
The DOJ, run by Rod Rosenstein and Christopher Wray, launched an investigation into me during Russiagate and issued grand jury subpoenas for all of my personal information, something that I wouldn't find out till 5 years later when Google informed me through a disclosure notification that the 5 years had been up, so they were allowed to tell me.
You were under investigation. You didn't know about it.
Right.
Under investigation for about 5 years. Google had to actually tell him about it. Here's a little more into that same interview. I couldn't find the full thing, but I found a couple of clips where they were sitting and talking with him. Let's get into this next one.
Of national intelligence.
He tried to make me deputy director of the CIA. Basically what happened was Gina Haspel, of all people, walked into the Oval with Pence.
We heard that Donald Trump tried to make you director of national intelligence.
He tried to make me deputy director of the CIA. Basically what happened was Gina Haspel, of all people, walked into the Oval with Pence and some other deep state operatives, and Gina started crying and said, you can't do that. Pulled a Bill Barr and basically said, I'm gonna lose the building. I was like, this is rich coming from the lady who architected Russiagate, is informing the commander-in-chief she tried to take down. Why I, the guy who exposed Russiagate, is not appropriate to be the deputy director of the CIA. It was kind of funny.
I was talking to these former officials saying, what was it that you were so scared he was going to do? And all of them, to a T, said it wasn't about a specific plan necessarily. It was that whatever Trump's whims were that day, his ideology in some ways was just centered around carrying them out.
Well, I think our country is in very serious trouble when you have such blatant political corruption at the highest levels of the U.S. government. Something I never thought I would see in my lifetime. But when you have an administration all acting in concert to try to advance the personal interests of Mr. Trump and abuse the authorities within the intelligence community and the law enforcement community, I really am very worried about what's going to happen in the coming months.
It appears that this Kash Patel person is going to be doing the bidding of the sitting president of the United States. And that worries us quite a bit. He's going to be doing what he's told by the president, but Orange Man bad. So he's very problematic. I mean, we got to just break this down. Gentleman that's on the screen, Demon Delete, former CIA director, talking about how, he's just so worried. He's like, he's going to be listening to Trump. I mean, everyone knows you're supposed to listen to us. Well, what's going on here? Very, very, exactly what Patel just said. This whole thing is actually very rich. Not to mention, before I go on, he's the guy that exposed the Russia hoax. So many people hate him for doing that because it made Trump right. Trump fought it the whole time, said, no, this doesn't make any sense. If Kash didn't exist, they could have still been pushing that. The same way Obama's still pushing the nice people on both sides hoax. And Kash Patel blew that out of the water. And the last thing that these people want is a Donald Trump who can say, I told you so. I told you so. I told you, all of you left-wing lunatics. Let's get into it.
They just need the headline, and then the rest of it doesn't matter to them. Kash Patel is under investigation for what, right? And then if you read into the article, it says, well, anonymous sources have said that Kash may be under investigation. Oh, so I'm not under investigation, or I am? And then what's it for? The DOJ, run by Rod Rosenstein and Christopher Wray, launched an investigation into me during Russiagate and issued grand jury subpoenas for all of my personal information, something that I wouldn't find out till 5 years later when Google informed me through a disclosure notification that the 5 years had been up, so they were allowed to tell me.
You were under investigation. You didn't know about it.
Right. Almost everyone I worked with in the intelligence community, almost everyone I worked with at DOJ and the FBI and the White House and my other jobs, almost everyone signs up to do the job.
So that's pretty amazing as well. Christopher Wray, the now newly resigned FBI director, actually launched this investigation into Kash, and now Kash is taking that job. Will he do the same thing? Well, I don't know. I would think so if there was any wrongdoing, but let's move on to the next clip with Kash.
Let's just play this out, Jan.
Of course I have it on double speed. Somebody said I should spend less time clapping and more time making sure things aren't on double speed. And to that person I say, you're kind of right.
As a former federal prosecutor, as a former national security prosecutor, the very fact that any individual is under investigation involving classified information, that investigation is by law classified. So let's just play out Mr. Goldman's tweet. Either he's lying, which I believe he is, or he just disclosed, Representative Goldman, at the United States Congress, in a live setting before the world to see, just disclosed unlawfully classified information. Now the question is, how did he get that information? Who at the DOJ, if anyone, unlawfully and improperly gave it to him, or at the FBI? And so what I'm going to do, Jan, is we will be referring through my counsel, Representative Goldman, for investigation by the DOJ and FBI themselves for his possible leak of classified information. And since he's a member of the United States Congress, and though he may think he has the ability to lie at will from the United States Congress without any recourse, since he is a member of the House of Representatives, I will also be sending a letter and referring him for investigation by the House Ethics Committee for twofold. One, the same as DOJ and FBI. Did he disclose classified information? And here's the thing, Jan. When DOJ and FBI tells him there is no investigation on me, then the Ethics Committee can investigate the fact that he blatantly lied from the well of the United States Congress to the world about me and attacked me. And I believe if he wasn't hiding behind the same thing Adam Schiff has hidden behind, which is a speech and debate clause, that is a defamatory statement that's actionable by me as a private citizen against Mr. Goldman. But we will be making those referrals because we will not sit by and allow such egregious and unlawful and improper conduct by a member of the United States Congress.
Man, just imagine this guy in that position pointed at them instead of pointed at us, and taking the whole bureau and just pointing it where it needs to be pointed, at the corruption. Whew, man, I would love to see that. You know, he is one of those people where you really can't say, this guy looks like Gizmo. He looks like the movie Gremlins? He looks like Gizmo, but shaved. Wow. Don't put water on him. Don't feed him after midnight. Now, when it comes to Kash Patel, he's not one of these people where you can suggest that he's not qualified. You cannot. This guy has been a prosecutor. He's been a public defender. He's worked with the FBI. He's worked in Intel, the Intel community. Like he knows. He's such a deep state figure, but for some reason, hearts, integrity, morals, whatever it might be, he is not going along with what he should be going along with, the whole narrative, the whole grip for power, the corruption. He has somehow stayed away from all of that, but has worked alongside all these people, knows what they have done, has read the classified information, and wants to do what's right by the American public. Absolutely crazy. He's going to need to beef up his security. I hope he has already. Let's get into this clip. Scott Jennings defending Kash Patel. I just want to say right off the bat, look right here. What they have is the headline, QAnon fans celebrate Kash Patel as Trump's FBI pick. CNN just hasn't learned a thing. It's crazy.
I would just point out two things. One, politically, Patel to me right now has a lot of support in the Senate. I think a lot of these nominees, some are in trouble. I don't think he is right now. I mean, he's going to obviously have to go to the table and answer questions just like everybody else, but there's enthusiasm for him. 10 years ago, the FBI had a 59% approval rating. Today, it's like 41%. There's a lot of restoration work that needs to be done to restore public confidence in this agency. It probably does need a change agent, an outside change agent, and the Republicans right now, they like this nomination. There's a long way to go, but they like it right now.
This is kind of like how, you tell everybody that elections are rigged, and then when confidence in elections go down, we're like, everybody, we need to change elections.
Are you saying the FBI hasn't made any mistakes?
I'm just saying, when you spend years and years telling everybody the FBI is corrupt, they're going to.
Well, no, they have admitted some corruption. There have been internal reports where they have admitted there have been FBI agents that themselves have gotten criminally in trouble.
I actually think that's exactly
made mistakes.
the correct point.
I would just point out two things.
That's an amazing point she just made. Amazingly just ridiculous. Like, oh, well, if you expose them for what they are and then people trust them less, it's kind of your fault. What? Hey, I don't know how something about this lady. I don't know how she does the thing she does with just this straight emotionless, just no emotion in her face whatsoever. I don't know how she does it. And this face right here that Scott's making, that's the exact face I make whenever she talks. I'm just like, are you serious? Is this for real? Every single time. It's ridiculous. I don't get it, man. Like, I mean, she's like Caitlin Collins, but worse. You know what I mean? Let's get into this clip right here. This is a great one because he wants to question, imagine him in this position, questioning Ukraine on where the money is.
I asked this Congress to investigate.
Oh, I gotta slow it down. Sorry.
Where has this money gone? The American people are owed that answer because it's our money. It's our taxpayer dollars.
And there's a lot of really good reason to be concerned because, the Ukraine was known as a, place of corruption, a place for money laundering.
Yeah. It's not like we sent $1 billion, as if that was even a small number to begin with, right? We've sent 100 times that to one country. I don't know how this Congress is allowed to get away with it. And Zelensky is out there. He went on the world stage and said Russia fired a rocket into Poland, which would literally be an act of war. Well, it turned out that Russia fired no such rocket. It turned out that the rocket came from the Ukraine and was fired into Poland.
And it was a mistake, basically.
If Zelensky's going to go out there and beg the world for more money and come to the U.S. and sit in the well of our Congress and say, we want more money, and then call and demand the new Speaker of the House provide more and more money, and call Mitch McConnell and say, we need more and more machinery, he needs to be more prepared about global statements that bring us to the precipice of war than doing what he did last fall with this missile attack, or this missile launch, I should say. And we just can't have full faith and trust by giving a leader $100 billion and having him say, I'm not telling you where the money went.
Oh, well, I don't know how much I distracted you while that clip was playing. Play it again and just listen to Cash talk. My microphone stand completely just gave out on me here. My apologies. My wires are all afray here. My apologies, people. But again, imagine this guy in the position of FBI director. He wants to question, from all angles. There's no part of this guy that an American citizen shouldn't be excited about, except for the fact that he's worked in the intel community. That can always be a red flag because you got to stay skeptical of people like that. But from what he's saying and from how much the people that are in these positions in the government dislike him, I think that's beautiful. The fact that he's the one that exposed the Russia hoax, I think all of this shows just how trustworthy he should be in the American public's eyes. That's my opinion. You can always take the position, and I know a lot of people do. If someone works for the government, they're not to be trusted, and I 100% understand that. I get it, 100%. But this guy sounds very genuine, very educated, and he's talking about the things that the American public needs to know and wants to know. Let's get into this next clip where he's sitting down with Tim Pool, where he's talking about J6.
What you need to show is whether or not the FBI and government agents were using undercover operatives and informants on the day of January 6th, because if you can show that, you know they've been out. Hang on. But the paperwork shows having run informants, that's a 6-month buildup. Minimum.
Right.
Minimum. It's not like they just dropped them into the Proud Boys and said, hey, go, don't disrupt, please. So once you prove that, then you defeat the insurrection narrative with the FBI's own documentation. Forget what the videotape shows.
Just for people who you can't see what's going on in the room, the reason why Kash just said hang on or whatever is because I started smirking and rolling my eyes. And what I meant to convey with that is, come on, we know they were involved.
No, look, I totally
clarify,
agree.
Though.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I know definitively. What I'm saying is a reasonable suspicion is that there were agents. There's a video showing a guy with an earpiece pulling people into the building. All right. Mm-hmm. You combine that with the evidence of Ray Epps, and it looks like you have a preponderance of evidence suggesting there may have been federal law enforcement involved in making that thing happen.
I'll get you beyond a reasonable doubt.
All
Two
right.
pieces of information. Ray Epps was on FBI's most wanted list one day, and the next day he was off of the FBI's most wanted list. There are only two ways that happens. You die or your informant. Put that aside. Under congressional testimony, Jill Sanborn, who I used to work with, the head of the FBI Counterintelligence Division, in charge of all these investigations, testified under oath when Senator Cruz asked her, flat out, were there federal agents involved with January 6th? And she said, quote, Senator, I can't answer that at this time. Not if the answer was definitively no, having been a DOJ FBI guy myself, she would have gone there and said, nope, absolutely not. The reason she said I can't answer that is because of the same stonewalling they gave us during Russiagate with Christopher Steele, Halper, and everybody else. It's the same narrative, and I'm telling you they were there.
So you're saying that she said I can't.
Wow. See what I mean? Like, this guy is ready to give the goods, you know? I mean, he's very open about this whole thing. So I think this is somebody that can be trusted. But again, you know, you got to keep your tinfoil Speedo on. You can't just take your tinfoil Speedo off. You know what I mean? Put some pants over top, maybe, because, you know, you want to go out into the world. Can't be walking around in a Speedo. I get it. Throw some jeans on. It's fine. But you got to keep them on, and you got to always think, maybe he's doing all this to get our trust. There's always that element. There's always that layer. Believe me, some people think I don't see that layer at all. But you can't live in that layer where you can't trust anybody. It's very hard. It's very hard. You gotta learn to go back and forth. You gotta always know that layer's there and stay aware that could be happening. That way, when people say or do certain things, even Kash, as he steps into this position, gotta watch him close. If nothing changes, it's like, oh, okay, well, it was all a ruse. That's all that was. But if things change, you got to step out of that tinfoil Speedo for a second and just be a guy in some jeans and say, okay, something good's happening here, you know? Now listen to this. This is more about his qualifications. Let's go.
What's your reaction, Ray?
Of course. Now, I got to slow it down, but this is him actually on the walk as he finds out that Christopher Wray has resigned, the current and I guess now former FBI director, and they're asking if he's actually going to take the same actions against him that he took against Kash.
What's your reaction to Ray's resignation?
We look forward to a very smooth transition at the FBI, and I'll be ready to go on day one.
All right, he is the president's choice to head the FBI on the same day that Christopher Wray is saying, I'm leaving the FBI. Senator Mark Wayne Mullen on what he makes of Kash Patel, the president's choice to do that. Senator, always great having you. You've had a chance to meet him. You know him pretty well. What do you think?
I've known Kash for a little while, since my time in the House Intel. I think he's perfect. You've got to remember, this is a guy that exposed the FBI for weaponizing against President Trump. He's the one that brought forth the complaint about the Russian hoax, about the collusion, about the dossier report. He also exposed the fact that Hunter Biden's laptop was actually being protected by the FBI underneath Director Wray's direction. And so I believe that Kash is the perfect person that's going to be able to clean house at the FBI on the 7th floor of the Hoover building and put it back to mission focus. Now, mind you, there's a difference between the guys on the 7th floor versus the guys in the field every day that's actually watching over the American people and keeping us safe. And that's where it needs to be reformed, is on the 7th floor. And that's where Kash will be focusing. And I'm happy that the Director Wray stepped down, so we don't have to deal with that. We can just focus on moving forward.
You know, do you ever worry, Senator, that Donald Trump might go tit for tat if he claims that the FBI was weaponized to go after him and people close to him, that he's weaponizing the FBI to do the exact same thing to the other guys?
No, and people bring this up, Neil, which is a fair question, right? But he didn't do that when he was in office in 2017, when he was a 45th president. So all you have to do is look back the way that he utilized the FBI, the way he handled this situation. He never went after Clinton, even though they had weaponized themselves against him. You've got to remember, they tried to impeach him from day one. They constantly were saying it was a Russian collusion, and was saying that he was compromised, using the whole thing about Ukraine. Right. He never once weaponized one single agency, not the DOJ, the IRS, or anybody else.
Didn't the FBI's behavior pick up steam and really bother him as it went on, as his years went on, and of course later on with the raid on his home and everything else?
Of course.
That now that sticks in his craw, and that's why his critics say he's on a vendetta tour. Do you think he is?
I don't believe so. I think you have to believe what he's going to do. He's going to restore these agencies back to working for America, not working for the party. Right now these agencies have been weaponized.
He's going to be working for America and not himself.
Because he did as a 45th president. He's going to continue to do so. He loves this country. He sacrificed so much for this country. And someone that sacrifices this much to serve as president of the United States is going to also take care of it. That's why the American people believed him. That's why the popular vote, he got more popular votes than what we had since Reagan on his second election. He got more electoral votes than anyone since Reagan on his second election. Because the American people want change. And President Trump's a person that's going to offer that change.
So you're very hopeful about that. The reason why I mentioned it is there's some around him, not the president-elect himself, I should caution, who want to throw a lot of the January 6th committee members in jail. When you hear that, and I want to stress, this is not coming from Donald Trump, but those around him, does that concern you?
Well, it's not coming from President Trump, like you said. He's going to be the president. He's going to be the commander in chief, and he'll be running the policies, regardless of what other people say. Now, will there be an investigation on criminal activity? I would say the House will probably take a lead on that. Are we going to be looking to trump up charges against individuals? No, but we are willing to hold people accountable. Those that abuse their power in a position of power, and they lied under oath, and they falsified documentations, they should be held accountable, because no one's above the law.
So those January 6th committee members, are you referring to them, that some of them might have done that and that they should be targeted?
I'm not referring to anyone in specific terms. I'm just referring to as a whole. If there was an investigation on anything, it would be to hold people accountable, not to go on some witch hunt like the Democrat Party did underneath Biden's administration.
Now, I get what you're saying, Senator. I don't mean to belabor the point, but holding people accountable sometimes sounds to me like going on a revenge tour.
No, absolutely not. That's not what the Republican people are wanting to do. We're not going to look back. That's not what our goal is. We're looking forward. We need to turn the page and shut it.
He concurs with that?
Yeah, yes, I do. President Trump is for America. He's for making America great again. That's what he campaigned on, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to move forward and make America work for the American people again. But at the same time, these bureaucrats and these individuals that abuse their power, they do need to be held accountable if they broke the law.
Holding people accountable sounds a little bit like a revenge tour. What? What are you talking about? Listen, calling out people's criminal activity and charging them for those criminal acts sounds a little bit like revenge. I mean, what? What are you saying? It's funny. CNN, I guess, I don't know. Maybe CNN has Scott Jennings now, who's like a conservative, and Fox News has this guy. I don't know. Are you really sure about that? I mean... if they're on the Diddy list and they get held accountable, sounds a little bit like a revenge tour. No, that's not a revenge tour. That's just the way that it works. Got to hold people accountable. Got to hold people in the government accountable. And no one ever does, except for Trump. And sometimes he'll do public shaming of sorts when he goes on Twitter. And other times he might hire Kash Patel, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Tulsi Gabbard and RFK. And that's just as good, I think. Might even be better. We'll see. Can you imagine? Do you actually think... Let me leave you guys with this. Do you think anyone's going to go to jail? I don't know if anyone's ever going to go to jail. Again, Trump was nice enough to know a lot about Hillary, and he didn't lock her up. Is the same thing going to happen again? I don't know. Because part of me feels like maybe Trump was like, she didn't do anything to me, which she did, because she made up some things. And she paid, and there's stuff she actually did, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone's actually going to get locked up. I can't really imagine that happening. Has that ever happened where a senator got locked up? A congressman? Someone on a committee? I don't know. A former speaker? Like, I don't know. It'd be very interesting to see that play out. I don't know. Obviously, right away, it would be like he's a dictator. He's a dictator. He's locking up political opposition. That's exactly how it would go. Or Biden's going to preemptively pardon everybody. Everybody's just going to get a pardon. I don't know. It's very interesting. But if these people are held accountable and there is any wrongdoing, if I see anyone get locked up, I think this would go for a lot of people in the nation. A lot of trust would be restored, I'm not saying anybody deserves to be, probably, but they should take that into consideration. You know what I mean? They're like, listen, AOC, we just got to do this one, okay? And we're just going to get the nation to trust us again. You're just going to go in for like 4 years, 5 years tops. They'd be like, what the You're just explaining that to some senator? What? Huh? You were doing a lot of insider trading, okay? And we're just going to put you in jail for like 6 years, okay? And then the American people are going to trust us so much. You just got to take one for the team, am I right? Huh? Give me a high five. I'm not high-fiving you, Mr. President. Your president gave you an order. God, okay, fine. But please don't put me in jail. I don't know. We'll see, guys. We'll see. Time will tell. Anyways, like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. It helps the channel tremendously. And get ready for Kash Patel. I actually can't wait.